Hello and welcome back together to my weekly update on the financial markets. My name is Jens, and like every week I will cover with you together the S&P 500 index, US oil, gold and Bitcoin on a weekly, a daily and 4-hour time frame so that you know what to do in the markets the next days and weeks ahead. Let's start directly with the S&P 500 on a weekly time frame. Here the S&P 500 on a weekly time frame ain't looking that good. We had a really massive crash here around about 20%. Let's check it. Yes, 21.4%. That's a huge move in that small amount of time. But chart technique worked again. We have here the last local high. This was a support zone in combination with this weekly uptrend line. The price stopped right there and reversed for counter trend. I think not that the downtrend is over. I think this was an overreaction to the downside. Now what follows is a snapback to the upside. And overall, I think that we have to see an ABC pattern to follow this movement because this is a massive structural trend break. And at the moment, policy ain't looking that great. A lot of uncertainty in the markets. Can't believe that will go away in a couple of weeks. And here, this massive MACD divergence we have seen here, like back in the days before the Russia-Ukraine war, that had also a huge correction that followed. And I think the same we'll see here. So I'm prepared for even lower prices. Also for the investment case, not only the swing trading case, but for swing trading, let's drop one time frame lower. You can see that the major weekly uptrend is broken. Here we had the early sign, make the difference. Price was making higher highs, while the was making lower highs, and what followed was a massive decline. After the break below this local low here, this cycle was failed, and you could be prepared for this downtrend here. I was making video a couple of weeks ago about that, where I was predicting 20% decline in the S&P 500 index. It came exactly like that. Not that it works all the time, but this time it worked pretty well. And yeah, now we got a snapback to the upside. Sadly, I wasn't involved in this bounce back to the upside. And at the moment, I'm looking for a short opportunity. Maybe if we retest this daily white solid downward line, that could be a nice spot to open up a short position and a stop loss above this last high here. Could look something like this. And then aim for a nice risk reward ratio. Maybe we can retesting again this area here of this last all-time high. Then we will revisit that one. I wouldn't risk too much in this trade. I'm only aiming for making some profits while the rest of the market is suffering, so we can outperform the market with that. At the moment, I'm still up 17% for the beginning of my trading here on this YouTube account, and that's way more than the S&P 500 has done just for pure holding strategy. Otherwise, yeah, if we see a break to the upside, retest, the break of the retest to the upside, that could mean that we have the COVID-like movement, V-shaped recovery, and that here would be a nice entry point for again a long position if we break it to the upside. But I think this is the more unlikely scenario. If you see a break of this downward line to the upside, be cautious, wait for a pullback and the break of the pullback to the upside before taking long positions. If you want to be pretty safe, wait for this pullback and break of the pullback and price above this high here, then you could be sure, or as sure as it can get, that we will see new all-time highs from there on. That would mean that Trump and his policy has changed massively, and we will see if that happens. Otherwise, the moment prepared for more downward movements. And yeah, that's all I have at the moment for the S&P 500 index. Long term, yeah, I would expect that we will maybe retest the 0.61 exponential retracement of this long-term uptrend movement here. There I would also begin personally to again collect even more shares in the stock market again for my investment strategies. Let's switch to US oil. Yeah, here you can see oil on a weekly time frame long term. We had a nice monthly red solid downward line, that one got proper to the upside. Since then, we are inside a corrective movement. I had to adjust this weekly orange downward line because we have seen here a break of this weekly support zone. That means a lower low, and because of that, I had to adjust that one. So price is still below this weekly downtrend, no breakout to the upside, and yeah, a break of that off tested support zone to the downside normally means we will see a pullback to it and then a continuation of lower prices, maybe even retesting Sunday this prone to the upside monthly solid red downtrend here, and from there on again rising prices. To the moment, if we drop one time from lower to the daily time frame, you can see like in the stock market that yeah, the movement was pretty extended to the downside, a little bit oversold. So what we see is a technical buying pressure here, and that the price is getting higher again to retest that area. If we see maybe a test of this daily downtrend here, I would be looking out for maybe a short opportunity. Otherwise, I just stay out of crude oil at the moment. What would be the bullish case if we see something similar in the equity markets would be we will see the break out of this daily downtrend, a retest and a break of the retest to the upside, and looking out there for again getting long, but we will see. I think that takes a couple of weeks to develop, and I would inform you like always in my next video. If we drop in one time frame lower to the forward time frame, nothing much you can see here. Like I said, I expect a little bit more buying pressure here, getting prices to the mid 60 levels again, and from there maybe a rejection again lower. That's it for oil. Let's switch to gold. Yeah, gold at the weekly is the complete opposite of every other market we are covering today. Gold was making one all-time high after another. It's pretty much extended even on the weekly level. If you look at the MACD indicator here and we zoom a little bit out, you see, okay, here was a high, after that was a huge correction. We are way above that. And also in the run of 2011, yes, we are also higher than that one. And that was a massive peak. And after that, followed what? 45% correction. I don't think that this is the case here because yeah, things ain't looking good on the equity markets, and yeah, there's some huge trends in gold once they started going, but I think we are way overbought here, and then we have to correct for technical reasons, or they call cooling a little bit down and continuing the overall uptrend. I'm happy with my long-term positions here, but in trading I wouldn't bet on ongoing prices higher. Instead, I'm looking out for maybe selling this mass upside movement because it's already gone too far in technical terms. Speaking of technical terms, here you can see all uptrends are still intact. And what is concerning here is on the daily, the dividends from price to MACD indicator. Even if that could have been already the high, price told us otherwise it wasn't the high. It exceeded the last high to the upside, but still the indicator here is looking downward, not upward. So still the dividends is still there, and the higher price gets, the more it gets time for correction. So at the moment I'm looking out for getting small low risk short position here. If we drop one time from lower to the forward time frame, we can see MACD indicator is coming to an end here. Looks like it wants to turn. The bars are already falling. The our uptrend is really steep, and yeah, I'm looking here for a break in trend behavior. So the moment higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, and I'm waiting for a lower high, lower low, and then stop downtrend. And if I see something like that, I would get interested in taking a short position. I have no idea how fast that could go because the move up was already fast. Normally the move down is also fast. If I'm able to catch that and open up a short position, but yeah, you will know probably next week the update what I did. And yeah, normally you don't short massive uptrends. So the trend is different, is saying. So gold is up, so you should trade it to the upside. But if something is that much overbought, technically I can't resist. I have to open up a small betting position here on falling prices. where would I put the stop loss? Like usually, let's say we break below this here. So that would probably mean that the uptrend is over, at least for a short period of time. I would search for the last all-time high, put the stop loss above that, and then a good risk-reward ratio 2-1 would be nice with a 0.5% risk of your account balance. And so it would be a probably 1%, or if you lose a loss 0.5, I think the probabilities there are on our side. That's it for gold. Let's go last but not least to Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin is down from the high to the low around 30%. But if we look at the equity markets and see that they are down 20%, 30% for Bitcoin ain't bad, because the correlation from stocks to Bitcoin is normally pretty high, and Bitcoin tends to exceed that with a much higher volatility. And this time it's pretty calm for such a decline in the equity market. So relative strength to the overall markets, I'm happy with that at the moment. I went to my main position, long-term position in Bitcoin, no speculative positions at the moment, but you can see that the MACD indicator on the weekly wants to turn to the upside. At least the first signs are coming in here. No guarantee that it will cross, but we will see. I could also imagine that we need to see one move lower to retest really the last all-time high here in combination with this weekly uptrend before then continuing again higher. But we let price tell us when it's over, or the downtrend is over and a new trend begins, or that we drop one time from lower to the daily time frame. Here you can see that we have at the moment an intact daily downtrend line, but we see first signs of change. MACD divergence, MACD making higher highs, or in this case higher lows, and price is making lower lows. So divergence, normally divergence sorts out to the direction the MACD indicator is showing us. So at the moment, price seems to get rejected here at the downtrend line, but maybe we'll see also the break, or first maybe more pullback, then a break, retest, break of the retest to the upside. If that retest here, no, that's a triangle, not a circle. If that happens, I would be interested in taking long position after we see a break of the retest to the upside. That would confirm, at least to me, that the downtrend is over, and I will again can swing trade to the upper side with Bitcoin here. Let's drop to the 4 time frame, so one time frame lower. There you can see we're getting rejected right here, but we slightly broke it also to the upside. This till now intact downtrend. MACD here wants to cross to the downside, so I think it's time that we will pull a little bit lower, maybe getting stopped here at this lows, and from there on reclimbing again this level, maybe getting rejected here because that is also a resistance rich area, making here then the retest to this broken daily downtrend line and then higher prices. The chart is a little bit small here. Yeah, I could look something like that, and yeah, I would pretty much like to see the situation here and then get in on and break off this retest to the upside, or maybe even earlier if I see that in a small way. Probably start with a small risk, so 0.5% of my compounds with stop loss below the last low. That would be not best risk reward ratio, but we can add on to the trade if we see that it's getting clearer with, for example, a scenario like this one here. For sure, Bitcoin can drop lower, like I said, to this all the way back to this weekly uptrend here, especially if the equity market is still under pressure. But yeah, I don't want to short Bitcoin here because it's that much down. I think the probabilities or the chances of risk to reward are higher if we keep looking out from now on for long trades in Bitcoin. That's it for my weekly update, guys and girls. I hope you have all a great start and week ahead, and you hear and see me next time. Bye bye.